It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the number one business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we're on a mission. And that mission is really to inspire. That mission is to empower. And that mission is to provide you, the entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that vision that's deep, deep inside of you for the rest of the world. And we have today the one and only Dr. Rhonda Williams, who's in the building, not for the first time, one of the original Happy Entrepreneur Show experts. And now she's back again. What's going on, Dr. Williams? How are you?
Hey Shay, how are you? You know what? I am so thrilled to be here with you. Always a great day when you are on the Happy Entrepreneur Show.
Well, thanks a lot. I'm glad to have you here. I know we're talking about emotional intelligence. And for those folks that are watching, someone might be like me, heard about emotional intelligence, read about emotional intelligence, and still not too sure what it is. But more importantly, how do we apply it to our daily life? So I know this is a two-part question, but part one is, what is your definition of emotional intelligence? Because we want to hear from you. And then number two, how can the entrepreneur, a lot of our folks are dualpreneurs, they work a full-time job and they're full-time entrepreneurs. How can we use it in our business? Then we'll come back later and talk about how to use it in the corporate space.
Yeah, really great question, Shay. So, the way I define emotional intelligence is it is the happy intersection between emotion and logic, right? So, you've got emotion, you've got logic, and in that space in the middle is emotional intelligence. So, the formal definition of emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize your own emotions and to manage those, the ability to recognize and manage emotions in others and and this is the operative and the important part, the ability to use that information to get better outcomes, to get better results, to have better relationships, to make more money, right? So the piece that we sometimes miss is, oh yes, I can control my emotions. That's not what emotional intelligence is. Emotional intelligence is the ability to leverage emotions. It's the ability to use a resource that we all have within us to get better results, outcomes, money, relationships, happiness, all of that.
So for someone like, I'll say like myself, or maybe the person is listening, is emotional intelligence something that we have to focus on, or and how do we know where we are on the scale of emotional intelligence? I don't know if that's even a question or not, but how do I know, like, am I doing good in emotional intelligence? Am I doing bad at emotional intelligence? So I guess the question is there a metrics or a scorecard that I can, that you can help me with right now to say, hey, Shay, this is kind of where you are, and this is where you need to get to. And the reason I'm asking that question for those folks that are watching at home is that you can do something with this now. And hopefully if she's answered the question for me, she's answered it for you as well. Because we all want to get better.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's like I like to say, we never arrive, right? We are on a journey and we're always striving to improve and to get better, particularly as entrepreneurs. So the answer to that question is yes. It's called EQ, actually. EQ technically is the way that you measure emotional intelligence. Technically, emotional intelligence is EI, right? But how we measure it is the emotional quotient, which is EQ. I actually have a complimentary assessment that anyone out there can use. It's called testmyeq.com, testmyeq.com. And I designed this specifically so that we can see where you are in emotional intelligence in the few critical areas, which gives you the information that you need to build better teams and really to get out of your own way as an entrepreneur.
Where do we struggle at? Well, here's the question. Now you're helping us with emotional intelligence. What's the biggest challenge people have to changing? Because it sounds like it's so hard to change.
Yeah. So the biggest challenge, bar none, right, is self awareness. Self awareness is actually the linchpin, the cornerstone of emotional intelligence. And as easy as it sounds, are you aware of yourself? Everybody would say, yes, of course, I know myself. But it's not that simple. Why is that? Because we're in our own heads. We perceive the world not as it is, but as we view it, right? Through the lens that we view it through. So it's very difficult sometimes to recognize how you're really showing up, what's powering your thoughts and emotions, why you're having the feelings that you're having over and over and over. It's really hard to know your impact on others. So when you as the entrepreneur and the leader walk into the room, what's everyone doing? Are they trying to leave the room because you came into the room? Are they staying around? Do they want to be a part? Are you magnetic? Are you drawing them? So self-awareness, bar none. Let me give you an interesting statistics, Shay, and why I say emotional intelligence is the hardest. Because according to the research, they did a survey of over 70,000 leaders. And what they found was that when they actually looked at what they considered to be, quote, self-awareness, um, they most of the leaders said, yes, of course, I'm self-aware. But when they did the research, only 19% of women leaders were self-aware, and only 4% of men leaders were self-aware. So when I say self-awareness is the key, and everything else on in emotional intelligence stems from self-awareness.
There's a saying out there, I think it's emotional ignorance, if I can use that word, and then emotional, what's the other one that folks talk about a lot?
Yeah, emotional agility.
Now, emotional agility, that's like 7 syllables, right? So I'm already confused. Emotional agility. That's so, and the reason I bring it up because people might be Googling, they're looking below right now and they're reading your bio. Got it. So I'm going on saying emotional intelligence, emotional EQ, and then they might see emotional agility and emotional ignorance. Give us a definition of both. And are they both opposite? Is one better than the other? Can you break it down for folks like myself? With like as if I'm a third grader over here, because I'm interested because I want to do better and I want to use the most modern science possible to help elevate not only my clients but the service delivery to our clients.
Yeah, such a great question, Shay. So, the opposite of emotional intelligence is emotional ignorance, right? So, if emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize emotions and use that information to get better results, outcomes, and relationships, emotional ignorance is the lack of that ability, right? It is you are not dialed into not only your own thoughts and feelings that are powering your emotions and feelings, but also you're also not tuned into your impact on others. You may be prone to emotional outbursts. You may just totally disregard others' feelings. You may lack empathy. Let's say you're giving an assignment to a team member who's already struggling, and maybe they're trying to express that to you, but you're going, oh, just suck it up. This is the work and this is what we do, right? So emotional ignorance is the lack of that ability to tune in and connect with empathy and compassion for what others are dealing with. So that's emotional ignorance. Emotional agility means that you actually have the ability to be a bit nimble, right? That you can almost, what I think of when I think of emotional agility is, Muhammad Ali, who floats like a butterfly and stings like a bee, right? He kind of does that whole thing. So when I think of emotional agility, I think of, what situation, let's say you got your day planned, Shay. You are rocking and rolling, you've got your schedule for the day, you are proceeding forward, and boom, out of nowhere, something unexpected drops in your world. Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to fall apart? Are you going to, really throw everything off course? Are you going to pout? Are you going to yell? Or are you going to take a deep breath? Are you going to say, all right, how do I need to approach this so that I can get things back on track as soon as possible, right? Emotional agility is the ability to manage those emotions. It's navigating, it's bringing them up and down as it's called for. And you have the ability to manage emotions in others. Maybe there's a team member or an employee who's frustrated and feeling bad. Can you help them navigate and manage their emotions? That's emotional agility. Oh, I can't hear you.
There we go. Sorry, I hit the button. Talk to the folks who are leaders out there, who are managers, who are directors, or who are responsible for a team. And some of these folks may be a nonprofit, might be a government agency. It's possible they could very well be in corporate America. So my question is, how do leaders apply emotional intelligence to get the maximum amount of productivity and to build the team where we're one, how can I say, big happy family? if that's
Yeah.
possible. I believe it is. I believe it is. And hopefully you have the tools to get us there.
Yeah, that's great, Shay. Research shows that the workforce has changed. In the past, it was do as I say, here's the job description, just get it done. Today, the workforce is really looking for someone and a leader who is compassionate, who has empathy, who conveys understanding, they're relatable, they're authentic. All of this goes back to your emotional intelligence. So when leaders lack emotional intelligence, they treat employees as if they are a means to get a job done. When leaders apply and extend emotional intelligence, they really dial into the employee as someone who is a person with a family, someone that they care about, someone whose opinion they value, someone who they want to bring their voice to the table because they know that diverse perspective only strengthens them as an organization. That is the difference in a leader who is applying. And now that you sort of mentioned that corporate space, there's two levels that we advocate for emotional intelligence. The first is the individual. So you, Mr. Leader, I need
Mhm.
you to focus on and dial up your emotional intelligence. On an organizational level, I also need you to apply emotional intelligence so that the decisions, policies, practices, procedures are based on a foundation of emotional intelligence. So there's individual emotional intelligence as a leader, and there's organizational emotional intelligence.
What's the backstory that led Dr. Rhonda Williams to being so becoming the expert at emotional intelligence? I mean, unless you woke up one day and there was some huge passion that you just had to go learn emotional intelligence. So we'd like to know who is Dr. Rhonda Williams and what was her journey that led her to the path of doing what she's doing today.
Well, first, I like to say, I will accept the title of doctor. I feel like I should already be one. I am on the journey, not quite there yet. So let me say that first. The second thing is, gosh, I've had such an interesting journey. And I did not just one day wake up. I really had to learn emotional intelligence. First, in full transparency, I am an introvert, right? And so I will stay in my little shell and do my thing. And it hurt me in my career. So my background is I'm a registered nurse, sort of climbed the ladder in healthcare, became the leader of the clinical and nursing areas as the chief nursing officer, chief clinical officer, and then became a hospital CEO. So as I'm climbing this ladder all along, I'm learning, I'm growing, but I'm still not there yet. I ended up in a difficult situation where I lost my job. I ended up getting divorced from my 25-year marriage, all in a short period of time. And it flipped my world upside down, Shay. And so I really had to understand and identify who was I? How do I show up better? Right? How do I take this journey that was at that moment pretty painful and take something from it, learn something from it, and use it to grow and to be my path forward. So, really interesting backstory.
Yeah. What do you enjoy most about this? Because when you start talking about it, I see this fire, I see this flame kind of coming up, and you're da 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 da. Like you could talk about it for days. Where's this passion come from? Being able and wanting to serve other folks, and help other people really achieve their dreams, achieve their mission, and achieve their objectives.
Yeah, Shay, when I was a young leader, I didn't have a coach. I didn't even know. Honestly, the thought never really crossed my mind until some time and some coaches began to come into our organization. But what I know is that some of the mistakes that I made could have been avoided. What I know that my learning curve could have been shortened. What I know is that potentially could my success have even been greater? Absolutely. All of these things because we don't normalize coaching. Most of us look at coaching as something that you do and you can't figure it out. Maybe when you're not smart enough to do it on your own, or nothing could be further from the truth. Coaching is a way of hitting your next level, and it's a way of shortening the learning curve and the time curve in order to get there. It's not you're not smart enough. It's not that you can't figure it out on your own. I can't think of a single famous person who doesn't have a coach. Not one. Not one, right? And so if that's the case, all of you out there, entrepreneurs, leaders, why don't you have a coach? Right? This isn't about smarts. This is about shortening the time to get what you want. Here's what I like to say, Shay. What I do is I help people get more of what they want and less of what they don't. I help people identify what's in their way so that they can remove those obstacles or leverage them to their next success. I wish I had that when I was growing up. And that's my passion today is I feel like every leader and every entrepreneur should have the benefit of that.
You got that so well said, by the way. You got that big sign behind you. We keep looking at, we got this. We got this. We got this. So we want to know, one, why do you have those words, we got this behind you? And how did it come to be that, that became one of your mantras, one of your core philosophies? Because otherwise, I'm assuming it wouldn't be behind you.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a part of who I've developed into. So as I mentioned, those difficulties in my own life, right? I had to say, all right, are we going to sit here? Are we going to wallow? Are we going to fall down? Are we going to fall apart? No, we're going to come up with a plan. We're going to figure out the way forward and we're going to get moving, right? So we've got this. Yes, it may be challenging in the moment, but this too shall pass. And I mentioned earlier that I help leaders and organizations figure out what's in your way so that we can leverage it or resolve it, right? What is in your way so we can leverage it or resolve it? And you're never alone. That's why I say we've got this, right? Don't go at it alone. You want to go slow, go alone. You want to go far and fast, go together, right? We've got this. And so a team, a support network, a trusted advisor to help you along the way, that's the key.
And that leads to one of the questions I love to ask. It's kind of one of my favorite questions I wait for on the Happy Entrepreneur Show, which is, of all the mentors you've had, and you've had a lot of mentors on this journey of life, so many mentors, we can benefit from something that someone's told you. And as you're watching and listening at home, you could do that as well. You can always share with someone, hey, my mentor passed this to me, I'm going to pass it on to you. So I'm going to ask Rhonda to share just one lesson. It's kind of unfair, but she'll think about one from all the mentors she had. What's something that she's going to share with us that we can all benefit from?
So I will never, ever forget a lesson that our dear friend Trevor gave to me one day as we were coaching and talking. And he said, I'm not going to kill your bear, right? You got to kill your own bear. But in order to do that, I've got to identify the bear. I got to know he's there. I've got to get myself resolved. I've got to get rid of my fight or flight. I've got to figure things out. I got to get an action plan, a marketing plan, all of these things so that I can move forward. It goes back to sort of, we've got this, right? We can do it. I will help you. But at the end of the day, nothing changes until you decide that it will. I'm going to say that again. At the end of the day, nothing changes until you decide that it will. Is it time for something to change in your life? And if so, then let's have a conversation. Let's figure out what's in your way so that we can either resolve it or we can leverage it, right? Because we've got this. But you, at the end of the day, you've got to make the decision to kill your own bear.
Kill the bear. I love it. I love it. Coach said so well. I love it. We have a segment here called Today is My January 1st. And today is my January 1st represents a new start. So for those folks that tune in regularly on the daily show, you can go and say those words. You waited. You're here every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you can say, today is my January 1st. And I feel good. Today is my January 1st. Happy New Year. And for those folks that are new to the show, welcome. We're always glad to have members of the family. Today is my January 1st represents a do-over. It represents a fresh start. Today is my January 1st means your past no longer equals your future. And so my question to Rhonda, when she hears those words, today is my January 1st, what does she hear? And what's one of her January the 1st moments?
Yeah, so I love that today is your January 1st because every day is an opportunity for you to decide what you want to accomplish, what you want to dream, what you want to do, where you want to go, right? Right now, not yesterday, today. So when I think about today is my January 1st, then I really think that everything that you want is waiting for you. Right? You simply got to decide to stop looking in the past, right? And there's a reason our eyes are facing forward, to decide that it's time to walk and to move forward. So that's what I hear when I hear today is my January 1st, that you have the opportunity right now, today, not yesterday, not tomorrow. Today is where all of your power lies. So I love that phrase. And, for me, one of the pivotal points for me, and how when today was my January 1st, was after that situation that I shared with you. So after I lost my job and I got divorced, I remember, Shay, looking in the bathroom mirror, having a conversation with myself, going, what in the world? Right? What is happening in your world and in your life? And I had a conversation with myself that says, I don't know. I am not that person that I was just yesterday, that I was 30 days ago. But what was scary to me is I didn't know who that person was, right? And I'm like, now who am I? I had to go figure it out, right? That was my January 1st. I decided right now, right here today, I am taking the keys to the car of my life. I'm getting behind the driver's wheel. I'm getting out of the passenger seat. I'm setting the GPS. I'm setting the destination, and I'm marching forward in the way that I believe I want to go in this thing that in this journey that I call my life. So for me, that was my January 1st moment.
Said so well. Thanks for being transparent. Thanks for sharing. What type of clients or organizations are you working with these days? So first state the problem they have so we understand, then who do you work with? And then how can individuals best connect with you?
Yeah. So I work with two types of clients. The first one is the individual leader. This individual leader might be somebody who's frustrated because they've been passed over for new roles or promotions. Maybe they feel stagnant at work. Maybe they are just so frustrated and overwhelmed. They don't have boundaries in their life. They're missing time with children, grandchildren. So I work with that individual leader, and I help them, number one, back to what we talked about, identify and leverage what's in their way, and we recreate their life in the way that's more joyful for them. The other type of client I work with is the organizational client. So this is a company who maybe is looking to reinvigorate their culture, is to maybe attract and retain top talent. Maybe they have a group of young leaders who have never had any formal leadership coaching, development, or training. And I go in and I work with this organization to put in place organizational coaching and training for three levels: the brand new leader coming into your organization, the existing and experienced leader already in your organization, and the newly promoted leader who's just coming from a technical skill into a leadership role. We want to make sure that you are developing elite leaders at every level of your organization on the way to what I call creating modern magnetic cultures. Modern magnetic cultures is what organizations are seeking today.
Mm. First, let me say thanks so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. Certainly, we appreciate you. You're amazing, a returning guest. We got to have you come back again. I heard you say magnetic blank culture. Say that one more time.
Yes, modern magnetic cultures.
Okay, that's like a topic for its own self.
Yeah.
I can't wait. We've got to have a conversation about that. I love the work you're doing with companies and organizations, and you're also keeping the small business owner in mind. So we appreciate that. With that being said, thank you, the viewer, for watching. We appreciate you. Without you, well, there is no show, by the way. You can catch the episodes on YouTube. Just go over to our YouTube channel at I am Che Brown. You can see all the episodes and the on-demand streaming platforms. With that being said, thanks for tuning in. I always like to share how amazing you are. If someone hasn't told you that recently, how awesome you are. I don't think you can hear that enough. And how today is your January 1st. And because of that one reason, your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best, I promise you, is yet to come. With that being said, my name, by the way, is Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And I promise you from the bottom of my heart, We'll make some good things happen. We connect again next time. Remember, time is long. Life is short. You got to live in the moment. You got to make it count. God bless you. Wish you success. Thanks a lot, Rhonda. We appreciate you. Appreciate all of you out there. We out of here. Peace.